Welcome back to Reading Sprints and Chai Sips. It's your girl Sasha Bonet. Sasha to you. Happy Monday. You might not be seeing this on Monday, but it's Monday for me. This is going to be the first episode of a series I've been thinking about for a while, even before I came on YouTube, because it's true to the reader I am, the type of reader that I am. So this is the first episode of a serial unfinisher of series. When I say I am a serial unfinisher of series, I read the first book in a series and I put the series down. Especially if I like it, I'll put it down, because if I don't like it, it gets DNF'd or unhauled or something like that. But if I like it, I put it down and I really don't think about it again, except for to think that, oh, I'll read it one day. One day never seems to come. So in this first episode, we're going to tackle or try an attempt at tackling 4 books that I am smack dab in the middle of. Let me show you what they are. So the first one is The Kind Worth Saving by Peter Swanson. I read the first book in this series, The Kind Worth Killing. And I enjoyed that one. I enjoyed the twist. I enjoyed the POVs, especially when they came into play. I enjoyed that. So in December, during my birthday and Christmas month, I bought book 2 and book 3, but only book 2 is in this video. The Kind Worth Saving by Peter Swanson. And it is a thriller. In this one, we start off with Detective Kimball, who was towards the end of the first book going after one of our main characters for crimes. So we start off here, but this is the second book in the series. There's one more book after this one, but let's tackle this one. Let's try to finish this so that we can get to the last book. The final book in The Hot Vampire Next Door by Nikki Crowe. This is season 5, and I've read all 4, and I even bought the omnibus. But this one I have not finished, so I want to get into this one. And this is an indie author. This is vampires. This is, think of Vampire Diaries. Think of that. Think of Twilight. Think of all of those things that you like with the vampires and the werewolves and all of that stuff. It's all in here, just smuttier, if that makes sense. Next, we have another indie. This is an indie romance by one of my favorite indie authors, Alexandria House. This is a hockey romance. And I believe they grew up together, fell in love when they were young, and then parted ways. And now I believe they come back together in this book. So kind of like a second chance romance, which I do not like. Don't like second chance romances, but not really, because they were too young to really do anything the first time, I believe. I don't even know. So this is the third book that we're going to try to tackle. Finally, we have The Fates Divide, the sequel to Carve the Mark, which I did read and I enjoyed well enough. I think I gave it 3.5, 4 stars, by Veronica Roth. If you don't know Veronica, Roth wrote the Divergent series, which I actually did enjoy. So I picked these up as well. Like I said, I liked the first one. This is the sequel to that one. And if I finish this, I will have finished the series. The same with Hot Vampire Next Door, season 5. If I finish that book, I will have finished the series. So these are the books we're going to tackle in this first episode of Serial Unfinisher of Series, because I don't want that title anymore. I gave that title to myself, but I do not want that title anymore. So let's try to tackle these books in this reading vlog. So I kind of forgot to update you all, but I finished this one, The Kind Worth Saving by Peter Swanson, and I still like the first one better. There is one more book to read after this one, but for the sake of this video, Serial Unfinisher of Series, I'm getting closer to being able to say I finished this series. But with this one, I'm going to give it a 3.5, 3.75. It was good. Like in the first one, The Kind Worth Killing, you find out who Lily Kittner thinks is worth killing, the type of people she feels is worth killing. In The Kind Worth Saving, you kind of figure out who Henry Kimball feels like is the kind worth saving. And I love the different POVs, especially in the first one. In this one, I feel like it wasn't a surprise like it was in the first one to get the different POVs, but in this one, I feel like, you know how some people say mental health is, oh, whatever bad thing these people did, oh, it must be mental health. And sometimes we have to realize that people are just bad people. You know what I mean? Like sometimes people are just bad people. And sometimes it has nothing to do with mental health. But this one, yeah, it's done. We're going to move on to the next one. So, like I said, 3.5 wasn't better than the first, in my opinion. But as a serial and finisher of series, I'm one book closer to finishing this trilogy. Next book we're going to read for this vlog is Holding by Alexandria House. This is the second book in a trilogy of the St. Louis Sires. I've already read a chapter or two. Yeah, I read 2 chapters in it because, again, I forgot that I wasn't updating. But this is childhood neighbors. Yeah, childhood neighbors to enemies to best friends to lovers back to enemies and most likely back to a second chance. So what I've already read in this book, like this book made me laugh already several times. Because their dynamic when they were little kids, living right across the street from each other, and he was best friends with her brother, and she was always tasked to tag along with the two of them to keep her brother out of trouble or to keep the both of them out of trouble. So if they have to behave themselves in front of in front of the little sister or the neighbor, you're more prone to stay out of trouble. And that was basically her duty as the younger sister, was to help them stay out of trouble. But her and him were always going back and forth with the big head and ugly self and stupid girl. And it's my childhood. Like I remember those things happening. Like I wasn't doing those kind of things, but it's cute, and it's also like, in my opinion, like they liked each other even when they were younger. They also have an iguana. Mind you, I thought they had a child together, and I was like, oh, he's coming over to see his son. He was like, yeah, I'm here to see Ladarius. And she was like, he in the room. And he went in there and put some grapes on the floor. And I said, on the floor? What kind of family is this? And it happened to be an iguana, and that made me laugh out loud. They share an iguana where he comes on the weekends to spend time with their iguana, and it made me laugh. I'm already liking the story. I liked the first one well enough, and I'm already liking this one. Like I said, Alexandria House is one of my favorite indie romance authors. So I'm going to dive into this one, and I don't even think I will update you, but when I'm done with this one, I'll bring you my final thoughts. Hey y'all, it is time for my final thoughts on Holding by Alexandria House. This is the second book in the St. Louis Sires, which is, as we find out in this book, I don't know if I found that out in the first book, but in this book, I actually found out that the St. Louis Sires is an all black. It is not all black, but the majority of the players are black on this team due to everyone that is black on other teams noticing that they weren't being accepted either by their teammates, there were or other teams, or even people in the stands that were supposed to be fans of the team or fans of the other teams. There were microaggressions, there were haha jokes that no one found funny and or stuff like that. So Big South, if you know who Big South is, Big South from one of Alexandria House's other books is co-owner of this black team, and he put it together because of that reason, because black people in sports do exist, right? So we find out that Big South, I think I found out that Big South was co-owner before, but I didn't know it was an all-black team, I don't think. Or I forgot, whichever one. My final thoughts, I'm going to give this a 4. This has bipolar 1 representation, and as a girly who suffers, do I suffer? I don't know, but as a person who has been diagnosed with with being bipolar. I love the representation in here, but you don't get to know what's going on that level for like, I want to say more than half the book. So it was irritating me how their dynamic was. But this is a childhood, not enemies. I would never say they were enemies, but you know how girls and boys can be when they're young and they don't like each other for all of the reasons that they shouldn't like each other. You're annoying, you're ugly, you're skinny, you have red hair, all of the dumb reasons why boys and girls do not like each other. But then they grow to be in love with each other, and you know that they've loved each other since they were young kids living across the street from each other. But then a tragedy comes into their circle, their family, and all of that, and it brings them closer and farther apart. And then to enter into this equation that she has bipolar disorder, and it kind of blows up their dynamic constantly. And it's told in then and now time frame. So then when they were kids, and now when they're older, then when they first got together, and now that they're divorced. It was a cute story, but I'm gonna give it a 4. But I enjoyed it, and I do suggest that you all check out Miss Alexandria House's work. She is an indie romance author, and she writes down. You will fall in love with most, if not all, of her characters. Now that we've done this, right? So that's 2 books that I have gotten closer in series with, right? The Fates Divide, which is only a duology, thank the heavens up above, by Veronica Roth, and it's the sequel to Carve the Mark, so this is the one we're getting into next. And I've already started it, so I'm on chapter 7, and it picks right up where the last one left off, where Akos and Siri and CZ and the mama, who's the prophet. Not a prophet? Is she a prophet? She's a prophet. They're all on a ship. One of the twins has been killed in the last book. That's all in the last book. You have to read the last book in order to catch up to what I'm talking about right now. I'm enjoying it so far. I enjoyed the first one. I think, like I said, I gave it a 3.5. I'm enjoying this one so far. We'll see how it goes. This one, I will probably have more interim thoughts of like a romance book that's just a romance book. So I might have more interim thoughts in this one, but we'll see. But after this one, we only have 1 book left, and I don't know if I'm gonna get to that book, y'all. I'm trying to get this video out in a certain time frame, but I'm also trying to read my books. But I'm also trying to enjoy my reading. I don't know. But at this point, like I said, we're going into Veronica Roth. This is fantasy, so we've read a thriller, we've read a romance, now we're reading fantasy. It's a hodgepodge, a mishmash. It's a conglomerate of genres, authors, and backgrounds, and writing styles. And that's how I like to read. I'm in the mood. I'm not going to say I'm in the mood for a mystery, because I don't think I am. But I'm in the mood for a good book. I'm in the mood for a 5-star book. That's what I'm in the mood for. And as of right now, this is still giving me 3-star. So we'll see. Because we have a 4-star, and possibly a 3-star. We'll see. So I am here to give you some thoughts on The Fates Divide, the sequel to Carve the Mark by Veronica Roth. The first book in this series, in this duology, I gave 3.5 stars. It was an okay fantasy. I already had the second one, so this is why we're trying to continue and finish this series. However, I'm about 30% in, and I am no more invested than I was when I read the first one. Now, I'm going to finish this, but because I'm not really in it, it hasn't brought me in, I am going to also incorporate Hot Vampire Next Door by Nikki Crowe season 5, so that I can finish these probably in tandem, almost at the same time. I was going to do one at a time, but this is just, it hasn't grabbed me yet. But in this one, we're finding out, or Syra has just came to the conclusion that Akos, because his fate is determined to be by her family's side, she just asked him, are you here because you want to be or because it's fated? Because if it's fated, I don't want it. I want you to want to be here. And he said, it is what it is. So that's where we are in here. Again, 30% in. Hopefully by tomorrow, I can have this finished. But again, I'm going to just incorporate this. But I went to Michael's yesterday. I'm going to do a quick little haul for you all. It ain't much. But I told you all that I got a Cricut. And there's a video that I'm doing soon that will be up soon. And the Cricut was needed for that. But also this was needed for that. Now, I bought the Cricut Easy Press Mini. The reason why I bought it in the mini and not that big ass press that they have. One is I'm new to the Cricut space. Start me off slow. Start me off with the smallest piece of anything that you have. And that's what that's what I did. So I got the Cricut Easy Press Mini, and this is needed for the project that I'm thinking of, for the video that I'm thinking of. So I got this. I was excited about that because I was walking around that store for about an hour picking up shit that I didn't need in order to find this. I bought this and the shit that I didn't need. But I also bought Loops and Threads crochet kit. It's a banana. And his name is Bradley. Je m'appelle Bradley. My name is Bradley. It's so cute. And I haven't crocheted since I was like a kid. So I got something that was small, something that, can you see that? Something that comes with all the pieces and the instructions and everything so that I can do it all at once. And it shouldn't take up that much time. It gives you all the contents. Oh, but it says skill level is intermediate. Maybe I should have checked that before I bought it. I didn't know they had skill levels on it. Oh, estimated time to complete this project is 8 hours. Okay. 8 hours of time is how much this should take. With me being a beginner and not intermediate, may take longer. Okay. But it comes with everything. And if I like this, maybe I'll buy more because they had a cactus, they had a sloth, they had a unicorn with the flowing colorful mane and tail. It was so cute. They had berries, strawberry, a blueberry. Oh, it was so cute. But I picked the banana because I thought the banana might just be easier. We'll see. But yeah, that's my little haul of hobbies and projects. But I'm going upstairs to make lunch. Yeah, so I'll check back in as soon as one of these books wrap up. Hey, y'all. I finished it. I finished the book. I sat down on my couch after dinner. Well, all through dinner, I listened to it while I was cooking. And then after dinner, I sat on the couch, book in hand, and I went through it. I finished it. So I'm going to give this 3.5 like I did the first one. Because this book does not give us a reason, a reason as to why the big bad in this book is the big bad. How do we get there? Like, we know how Syra grew up. We know how Akos grew up. His sister CZ is with Issei. His mama is an oracle that don't give a damn about nobody. It's a whole lot of this series has nothing but family drama, and both the main characters' families, respectively. But we don't know how they got there, except for with the oracle mama, because she don't give a damn about nobody but her motherfucking self. But that was the only thing. This one does pick up more than the first one, which I enjoyed, but there still was just up in the air moments of why don't people just not do the things that they're choosing to do. The big bad in this book, you don't have to follow. And it's a lot of open-ended questions that I had while I was reading this, so I'm gonna give it a 3.5. It was an okay story. It could have done more with a lot of the pieces, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. Plus, um, I didn't realize that I had a signed copy, so that's fun. But I have gotten into this one. Oh, I didn't even tell you. Hold on. In finishing this book, I finished my first series of the year. I have finished my first series of the year. And my goal for 2025 was to finish 6 series that I began in previous years. And I started this duology last year. So I have finished this. And that's 1 down, 5 more to go. Look at me conquering goals in 2025. But yeah, I do recommend this if you like. Oh, if you're gonna compare this to Divergent, do not do that. This is not Divergent. I absolutely did enjoy Divergent. I loved it, but I just read it last year. It wasn't like it was something that I've been reading for years and years and years. I read the whole thing last year, but I'm glad that I read it before this, because had I read this first, I would not have ventured into reading that. So this is not that. Don't expect it to be, but it is an okay story. I don't think anyone is going to be blown away. That doesn't mean that this book doesn't have its audience, because I'm pretty sure that it does. It just wasn't, it didn't hit all the marks for me. That's it. But moving into Hot Vampire Next Door Season 5, I'm only 30 pages in. And I'm not going to update you too much on this one with my 30 pages in, because there's 4 books prior to this one. So if I finish this one, this will also be the second series that I've started in prior years, and I'm happy about that. But if you are here or you've read the series, this is for you. Bran and his brother are trying to figure out how to get the little mouse back, and that's just basically it. That's where I am, 30 pages in. That's it. That's all that's happened. So I'm thinking maybe by Sunday, tomorrow and Sunday, I will have gotten this done and completed, because it's not that big of a book. It's only 220, like 29 pages. It's not that big of a book, and it's very easy to read. But yeah, that's where I am. Hey y'all, it's finally time to wrap up this video, and you don't even know, today has been kind of a different kind of day, but let's wrap it up. First, we read The Kind Worth Saving by Peter Swanson. I didn't enjoy this one as much as I enjoyed the first one, but I gave it a 3.5 stars. There's only one more in the series, and I can't wait to get to that one, because that will help me finish a series, which is one of my goals for 2025, to finish series that I've started in previous years. And I started this series, which is Kittner and Kimball, last year. Next, I have the romance, the sports romance, hockey romance, Black Sports Hockey Romance by Alexandria House Holding, which is kind of like a second chance romance. It has a bit of a plot of mental illness in it, and I enjoyed it, and it did make me laugh out loud. I gave it 4 stars. I love Alexandria House down. This one just was a little bit different for me, but I still enjoyed it. Next, we read The Fates Divide by Veronica Roth. This is the duology, Carve the Mark. I read the first one last year, which I gave a 3.5. This one also 3.5. Veronica Roth built up a big world, a very vast, complicated, intricate world, but did not deliver on anything about said world. Like, we don't know anything except for that it's broken off kind of into factions like it was with Divergent, but these factions have to do with power and life force, and it was a lot. And the big bad that comes in the form in this book, how did it get to be that that's the big bad? Like, I'm so confused. I give this one a 3 also. I do think that this one will need a reread from me. This duology will need a reread from me give it a few years, maybe I'll understand it more, maybe I'll take it in more. But at this point right now, it's just a 3-star for me. I think it just could have been better. It could have been more explained. The big bad could have been more pronounced so that we understood what was coming, how it was coming. It just, mind you, I think it was supposed to be a twist and it didn't twist enough for me. It was just it was underwhelming, to say the least. Finally, I have finished Hot Vampire Next Door Season 5, which will in turn finish out the Midnight Harbor series for me by Nikki St. Crowe. I have read in finishing this book, I have read every single book that Nikki St. Crowe has written. I happen to like her work. This series was so fun up until book 3. 1 through 3 was very fun. 4, I kind of trudged through a little bit. And this one was a little bit painful to get through. Even though I will be honest, this one was more entertaining, more action. It had a lot more going in it. But I think because this series started as a Kindle-vella, it was very episodic. And it even in these editions, it is episode 86. And that's how she wrote it. And I think that's how it was planned to stay and intended to stay. But we all know that Kindle-vella is either leaving or has left. It is no more. So she decided to put them into books, which I understand. But because it's so episodic, it was, but again, by the time I got here, I was really bored with these characters. But the side characters, I would have loved to get more on them, like Cal and her best friend. I am so happy that I'm done with the series, but it was a ride and it was fun while it lasted. But like I said, in reading these 2 books, I have finished 2 series that I finished in previous years. My goal was to read 6. I'm 2 down. All I have to read is 4 more. I'm going to try to do more than that I've read in previous years. But at least I've gotten 2. And I've gotten further in 2 other ones. That's it for this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And let me know how many series you are in the middle of and how many series, if any, in January that you finished. And I will definitely see you in the next one. Bye.